Reilly said one word. Maybe. And then she smiled. Hauser laughed. And then he talked about how much he loves Luke Grimes. Neither of them said the parallel kidnappings were planned. Neither of them said they weren't. And the outlet that broke the story thinks it was probably just coincidence. Here's the part nobody's saying out loud. If the two shows that ended with Sons in Texas didn't coordinate that ending, that doesn't make the crossover less likely. It makes it the most structurally inevitable thing in the franchise's history. Why does a maybe with a smile carry more information than either a yes or a no? What does it mean when two independent writers' rooms both decided to put a kidnapped son in Texas without talking to each other? And why does the coincidence reading actually make it impossible for the crossover not to happen? Let's break it down. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing. We cover every development across the Yellowstone franchise the moment it happens, and the story behind this non-answer is more interesting than anything either star actually confirmed. Okay, let's start with the interview itself, because the exact words matter and the exact words are what the whole argument is built on. TV Insider sat down with Reilly and Hauser after the Dutton Ranch Season 1 finale. They asked a direct question. Both Marshals and Dutton Ranch ended with the main character's sons kidnapped. Both sons are now in Texas. Was that coincidence or coordinated? Reilly said maybe, and smiled. That's it. One word. A smile. No elaboration. Hauser laughed. And then he talked about seeing Luke Grimes in New York at the upfronts. He said he loves Luke. He said if there's a way to do something special somewhere down the road, great. He never touched the question. He never said yes. He never said no. He just talked about how much he misses working with Grimes until the subject moved on. TV Insider published the interview with their own editorial note. They wrote that the similar endings appeared to be either coincidence or design, and that they suspected it was the former. Coincidence. That's a credible, well-sourced outlet that covered both finales in real time, looked at everything available, and landed on the possibility that the parallel kidnappings happened independently. Now here's what makes that reading so interesting. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you considered subscribing. Because the coincidence reading doesn't weaken the crossover argument. It makes it unavoidable. Let me show you why. These two shows were born from a single question. 101 Studios CEO David Glasser sat down with Marshall showrunner Spencer Hudnut early in the development process and asked him which spinoff he'd rather watch. Kayce Dutton or Beth Dutton. Hudnut told The Hollywood Reporter what happened next. Because Glasser is Glasser, the answer was both. Not one. Both. Two shows. Same DNA. Same franchise. Same executive asking the same question that created them both. One went to Paramount Plus. One went to CBS. Two different networks. Two different production companies. Two different writers' rooms that, according to TV Insider's own read of the situation, may never have coordinated on their season finales. And both of them independently decided to end their first seasons with the same cliffhanger. A son taken. Texas. If that's a coincidence, it's the most structurally revealing coincidence in franchise television history. Because it means when you let two writers' rooms work independently, inside the same creative universe, built from the same executive's question about the same family, they both arrive at the same narrative conclusion. That's not a mistake. That's the franchise's gravitational pull showing you where the story wants to go. Here's where Spencer Hudnut comes in, because his response to the crossover question is the most honest answer anyone in a position to know has given. He told Entertainment Weekly that both shows are forging their own paths right now. Right now. That phrase is doing work in that sentence. It doesn't say the shows will always forge their own paths. It doesn't say coordination is impossible or unwanted. It says right now, at the moment of that interview, both shows are operating independently. He also told Entertainment Weekly that the shows exist in the same universe and that if the Dutton siblings reunited, he's sure everybody would like it. We'll see what happens down the road. Down the road. Both Hudnut and Hauser use that same framing. Somewhere down the road. That's not a denial. That's a future tense. Here's the rehook. Because this is the part that I think most viewers are missing when they process the maybe and the laugh and the subject change. A planned crossover requires 2 studios, 2 networks, 2 production schedules, and 2 sets of showrunners to agree on something specific enough to put in writing months before either show's finale airs. That's genuinely difficult. That requires an executive who can make decisions across both properties simultaneously, and a timeline that allows both shows' stories to accommodate a shared plot element. The fact that a crossover hasn't been officially confirmed might simply mean that the coordination hasn't been locked in yet. Not that the crossover isn't coming, not that neither side wants it, just that the paperwork hasn't been done. And here's the thing about 2 shows that independently ended with Sons in Texas without coordinating. The crossover doesn't need to be announced, it just needs to be written. Marshals is already filming Season 2 in Park City, Utah. 18 to 20 episodes. Tate is in Texas with Tom Weaver. Kayce is going to figure out where his son actually is. When Kayce goes to Texas to get him back, he is going to be in the same state as Beth and Rip, who are preparing to go to war with a cartel to get their son back. That's not a studio plan, that's geography. 2 brothers-in-law, 2 kidnapped sons, 1 state. The crossover doesn't need Paramount to announce it in a press release. It needs a writer to open a document and type the words, "Kayce arrived at the Dutton Ranch gate just as Rip was loading the truck." Everything else flows from there. Luke Grimes, when asked about the possibility of crossing over, said it would be very fun. Not complicated, not logistically difficult. Very fun. That's someone describing an idea that already feels natural to him. And Kelly Reilly, after saying maybe and smiling, said 3 words that are the entire crossover premise in 8 syllables. Go find our sons. Not, I hope we cross over someday. Not, it would be nice. Go find our sons. That's a plot description. That's Beth Dutton telling you what Season 2 is about. And the only person with military training, federal authority, and a personal stake in that exact Texas situation who isn't already at the Dutton Ranch is her brother. So here's what we know about when all of this lands. Marshals Season 2 premieres on CBS this fall 2026, with at least 18 episodes. Dutton Ranch Season 2 begins production in early 2027. Both boys are in Texas. Neither show has officially announced a crossover, and both stars responded to the most direct question anyone could ask with a smile, a laugh, and a subject change. That's not a denial. That's a preview. So tell me what you think. If the endings weren't coordinated, does that make the crossover feel more natural or more random? And which season does it happen in first? Drop your prediction in the comments. I want to hear where you think this is heading. And if you want every update the moment either show makes an official move, go ahead and subscribe. I'd really appreciate having you here for it. See you when the announcement finally comes.